Epic LAN, 2 days down, 2 to go. We're here on Saturday here at the main stage. And our first order of business, Nebula, is to talk through everything that's happening with the esports scene in and around Epic LAN. And we've got these lovely chairs to be able to sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the main meat of Epic LAN, isn't it? All these esports tournaments. So I think it's important that we update the people on what's going on in each title.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And we're going to do that as best as we can, of course. We actually can see the esports area just behind the camera over there. They're hard at work right now because all of our esports are very much in the crunch stages of their events. And let's start by talking about Osu. I love a bit of Osu. The Osu community is some of the best people here at Epic LAN. They're always so smiley as you walk around. Yeah, right? Like, they're always so much fun to talk to. So we've got a couple of things going on. The final 16 has literally just started now for Osu. That's over on twitch.tv/EpicLAN4 if you want to check out all of the Osu action. And on right now is Velcro Shoes versus Stormer, which I promised to be an absolutely massive game.
I mean, yeah, that O Super tournament progressing into its final stages, I think is going to be really exciting. We'll have the finals on stage here later today as well. Yeah. So that will be a really interesting thing to check out and see how that shapes up.
Yeah, make sure you come back at 7:30 here on the main stage for the grand final of our Osu tournament. And then actually we've got a game after this as well from Velcro Shoes versus Stormer. It's then Mahmood, who's one of the favorites for the Osu tournament, versus Wiggler, which is going to be a brilliant game as well. Osu games take about that hour length. So make sure you stick around over there to keep an eye on that and then come right back here for the grand final at 7:30. But there's one person that everyone is talking about in the Osu community right now, and that is Fudge, seed number 1 of Osu and looking dominant.
Oh, I mean, it can be a really difficult thing mentally for favorites to actually claim titles. Sometimes being that first seed typically doesn't end well for a lot of players and for a lot of teams. So being able to continue that dominance in the LAN environment especially is very impressive.
I think it is, and Fudge known as someone for being incredibly consistent in all of his tournaments, so continuing to do fantastic work there. And yeah, I mean, we've also got Malteser, who's someone who we need to also bring up moving forwards into this top 16 bracket, who's not seeded the highest, didn't look the best coming into Epic LAN, but since sitting down at the desk and starting to play, has really found form.
Yeah, sometimes performances on LAN can really surprise people. Yeah. I mean, especially in some other games that we'll get to.
We'll talk about it.
There's been some upsets. You always have to be on your toes at LAN. Anyone can perform it.
Absolutely. Well, that's your Osu update. Big things to take away. There's games going on right now, twitch.tv/EpicLAN4, as well as the main stage grand final at 7:30 p.m.
Yeah, and over on the Epic LAN 3 Twitch channel is StarCraft 2.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Hino has been one of the favorites for this tournament and has been looking very good in their performance so far, who has come over from France, I believe, as well.
Absolutely.
And a matchup of Hino versus AC is something that's looking to be very exciting. Ooh. AC, an English player who would have, I presume, been to Epic LAN before. And yeah, that match should be very exciting.
Yeah, AC, a stalwart of Epic LAN, been here many, many times before, tried to take home that crown. As far as I know, might have done it once or twice, but recently has been thwarted by foreign guys coming over to Epic LAN and taking that crown. For the last 2 events that we've had StarCraft, they've both gone to someone not from the UK. So AC desperately trying to put a stop to that run at the moment, but he's going to have to take down the Frenchman, and that's not easy.
Yeah, it's been a consistent theme of when international players come to Epic LAN for StarCraft 2, they take the title. As you've mentioned the last couple of times, that's been the case. So AC looking to stop that trend, but there's also Siga, a Swedish player, who's usually an Osu player, but has signed up to the StarCraft tournament for this one as well, who had quite a lot of viewers yesterday after being raided by Coconut Games as well. So some even more exciting matchups that could potentially happen over there.
Yeah, I do have to quickly shout out the StarCraft guys for that, because as you rightly say, Coconut Games was able to come through with the raid of a couple of hundred people to watch the Epic LAN StarCraft games, which is huge for us. We love the community. We love the people that take the time to go onto our Twitch streams and watch those games. And to have so many eyes on our event is only a good thing. Hopefully a lot of you come back for the grand final a little bit later tonight, which is going to be at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fascinating. And Sigga, once again, as you say, an Osu main really, signed up for StarCraft and is playing incredibly well, made it into the bracket. So another international player, a Swede coming through to try and take that top spot.
Yeah, and that grand final is going to be right on this stage again, right after the Osu final. So people definitely shouldn't miss it.
No, absolutely. StarCraft is an incredible game to spectate and watch. You might not always understand what's happening at any given time, but what you will appreciate is just how many different things the players have to take into account at any given moment, right? There's stuff happening all the way across the map at any given moment in a StarCraft game, and it's really important that everybody who is playing StarCraft, they have almost like an idea of every inch, every pixel on the map at any given moment. And that is what makes it so amazing to me. Those players are built different.
Yeah, I think keeping track of variables is a big part of a lot of esports games, but StarCraft will take that up to the absolute maximum.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it to where anyone can just respect the competence of those players who are going to be in that bracket.
And I think it's not only keeping track of variables, but it's keeping track of things that you have created and made as well. So when you're talking about variables, you're talking about, health bars or the items that you have. But those are often on screen for you at all times. They're part of the overlay. In StarCraft, it's not the case at all. You have to physically click around the map to keep track of where things are at any given time. And if your opponent makes a play in one of those areas that you're not watching at that moment, then all of a sudden your entire plan can collapse.
You've got to have eyes looking in every single direction.
Yes.
Every single direction. It's very impressive for sure.
It is. Make sure you're here at 9 o'clock because we will have the best of the best, and they'll show you exactly how much stuff they are watching at any given moment.
Absolutely. And now I'm going to go and touch on Valorant as well.
You know what? Shall I just leave you for this one? Shall I let you take it?
Yeah, this will be my area of expertise for this one. But we had some pretty exciting matches in the group stage, I would say. A couple of very big upsets, notably Puck's going 13-7 against Control, the first seed of the tournament.
Yeah.
That being around that area surprised a lot of people when that result happened. Unfortunately, Pucks didn't end up making it to that playoffs bracket, but that's been a very long-standing roster. I think that'll be a very big confidence boost for them, and I believe this is their first time playing at Epic LAN at least, so if they opt to return, they'll be used to this sort of environment and then hopefully able to push even further after that point.
Yeah, I want to touch on that just a moment because that's a product of best of ones. And it's not a format that we play very often in big tournaments, right? You're expecting those BO3s, you're expecting those BO5 finals maybe, but BO1s in a group stage, they can be real banana skins. You just don't know who you're going to play or whether they're going to be on it at any given moment during those games. And especially in a LAN environment, when you've got the bar right there, right?
Yeah.
You don't know the mental state of some of the people on those top teams. So I'm not for a moment suggesting that Control weren't ready for that game. I'm sure they would have warmed up and been ready. But by the same token, you got to take advantage when they come. And if Control weren't at 100%, there are teams over that wall that are going to take advantage.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the mental state. I mean, these are really long days. These are really long tournament games, especially in groups. You have so many games back to back. Even if they are best of ones, you have 7 opponents to play in those 2 groups in order to make playoffs, and you have to make sure you capitalize on a vast majority of those games. And another group stage upset that happened as well was Delta X taking down Coalesce.
Yeah.
And now Delta X were a team that made it into a playoffs. They ended with a 6-2 record. But as you say of best of ones, the first round of the winners bracket took place yesterday and was actually best of ones as well. Oof. So that also went into that playoffs bracket. And I got to speak about Ray.
Please.
Ray are on a pretty ridiculous run. Some players that have been at Epic LAN before, they're definitely players not to sleep on if you're familiar with the UK scene. But they also took down Coalesce in that winners bracket round 1, and then also 2-0'd Lost Puppies in winners semis, who have some very notable players. That first map was actually forfeited by LP because I believe they weren't there for the match on time. But Ray's still able to close it out in a 2-0 fashion.
Wow.
So they're moving into that winners finals and into top 3 this early on Saturday. I mean, they're in an extremely good position.
Yeah, absolutely. And we love to see these stories come through, certainly from what we would probably call our big titles, right? Valorant and CS. When you're talking about teams taking advantage of other teams' mental state, if Lost Puppies weren't there for that first game, you know, they're rattled. They're probably not even warmed up going into that second game. So Ray doing the right thing and capitalizing on that game state that they found themselves in and making the most of it. And now all of a sudden they find themselves in a very advantageous position, still got a life left in the bracket and marching on. Love to see it.
That's going to be a very scary team to see in your lower bracket run.
Yes.
I mean, that lower bracket is not looking safe with some of the round 1 matchups that have happened. TSC and Control made it into the other semi-final, who are two of our top 3 seeds, or the top 2 seeds, both, I believe, actually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that winner semi is going to be very exciting. Just touching on the rest of round 1 before, Control had a very close matchup against Kev's Hot Dog Boys.
Yes.
Beautiful team name.
Wonderful team.
But that was a 13-10 for Control, so just barely making it into that winners semi, where in the first map, they fell 11-13 to TSE on Bind. So that series will be happening as we speak, literally right on the other side of this wall from the stage. So yeah, the result of that is going to be really exciting. And then having a winners final between Ray and then TSE or Control is going to be something really special.
Yeah, you can imagine those Ray players are just looking across the bracket like, all right, I guess we got to play one of those guys. That will be nerve-wracking for them, no doubt. But coming in as the underdogs, sometimes that pressure is waylaid. So that's really exciting for them. And we do have to say that Seed 1 versus 2 is actually not taking place on stream. But if you do want to check out all of the action from the Valorant, you can go to twitch.tv/EPICland2, all one word, and you can catch all of the Valorant stuff over there, which I believe when we left backstage was still going on. It was Kev's Hot Dog Boys were playing. I can't remember who they were playing.
Yes, they were playing versus Snoggers.
That's right.
In the lower bracket round 1 matchup. I believe Snoggers won that first map in overtime.
OT, yeah.
So that best of 3 is likely still going on. The winner of that is going to face Lost Puppies, who we mentioned fell in that winner's semis earlier.
Yeah.
So there are going to be really exciting matches across the board. Also in the lower bracket, there's a rematch between Coalesce and Delta X. To survive and not to go out in top 8.
Yeah.
I think for both of those teams, they would expect to, I mean, Coalesce are definitely expecting to make at least the top 6.
Yeah.
They would want to be in top 3 pushing the final, winning on a good day as well.
Yeah.
So that lower bracket is not going to be any less contested. That will be really, really exciting.
It will. It will. And we can talk about Valorant for a good long while, I think, because there are so many storylines when it comes to Epic Land and Valorant. They've been a game that have been here for goodness knows how long. You know, certainly as far back as I can remember. And you do get to build up a knowledge of those teams that are taking part every single year. You see those returners, you see those people coming back again and again. And it's really exciting to see them playing very well. I mean, Ray is someone who you brought up right there. We've seen those players quite a few times here at Epic Land.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they've ever made the heights that they are making this LAN.
Definitely not top 3.
Definitely not top 3.
I mean, the IGL Zowie had still a good run last Epic, even though faltering pretty early in the playoffs. They had a very difficult group stage to get through and had some impressive results there. But as you said, I can definitely talk about Valorant for maybe a bit too long. So should we go over to CS2?
Let's take a look then, because once again, we've got storylines. CS2 is happening right now. You can go and check it out over on twitch.tv/EpicLAN1. And the big story coming out of CS2 yesterday and this morning is a team that go by the name of EPIC47. Okay? This team are the 8th seed.
Ooh, okay.
And by the way, once we're going through these, you'll be able to see some of the replays, some of the biggest moments from our CS2 tournament yesterday. But what I really do want to talk about is the fact that EPIC47 beat Glitch Tech 5th seed in groups. So that's 8th seed beating 5th seed, which can happen, right? That's the thing. They then went on to beat 8 Sins in the upper bracket quarterfinal, who are the 2nd seed. And now, in the upper bracket semis, they're playing the Last Resort, who are our top seed. You talk about a difficult group. You talk about a challenging path. There's been no more difficult path than for Picadilly, and yet they continue to rebuff the advances of all other teams in their group. It's absolutely incredible to watch, and there's a real chance that they go the whole distance because TLR have not looked completely infallible.
Yeah, and when you're triumphant in that sort of bracket and those sort of matchups to get that deep into a tournament, it's not like you just got an easy route. No. When they're up against TLR, they probably won't feel scared of the nameplates anymore. No. Maybe it will take a couple rounds to ease into facing off against those players, but once they're in that matchup, I don't think they're really going to care about who the names are. They're just playing CS.
Yeah, yeah, and that's when you get into that mode in CS where you're not looking at the players on the other side.
Just yourself.
That's a dangerous place to be for any team, right? Because some teams, certainly the likes of TLR and even 8sins, they have a level that they feel like they are above a certain kind of
threshold,
group, right? Above a certain threshold. And so they work based on the fact that the teams they play against have that fear factor. They play knowing that they are going to be feared across the map. But at the minute that they're not, and they're ego peaked, and you dry peaked around a corner, which you just don't expect, that can throw them off because they're not used to playing in those kinds of scenarios. So maybe that's what Picadilly are doing. Whatever it is, it's working. They need to keep doing it because what they have caused in the CS bracket is absolutely unbelievable. So Coalesce, who were the 3rd seed, they only made it to the lower side of the bracket to start with. They didn't even see uppers. They didn't see the top 8. They're straight into lowers. They are now playing against the 5th seed, Glitch Tech, in the lower bracket, top 12 of the tournament. And the winner of that, because of the mess with Picadilly, plays 8sins, who are 2nd seed, to qualify for lower semi-finals. The 5th seed, the 3rd seed, and the 2nd seed, all in the same lower bracket. 2 of those 3 will be out before the lower semis.
Right.
Yeah. Welcome to LAN.
I was thinking literally the exact same thing. Welcome to LAN. I mean, that lower bracket is a pressure cooker,
it's
right?
Stacked.
And I mean, that's where it shows whether your experience is going to carry you forward and allow you to make a massive lower bracket run, or whether you just get into that situation and you'll just crumble, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing you've got to remember, right, is that a lot of people, certainly in esports, they say certain things like, oh, we got bracketed, right? We unfortunately, you know, we were on the wrong side of the bracket, and that meant that we face these harder teams. No. You lost the games, buddy.
You did.
Like, at the end of the day, for these 3 teams specifically, they kind of only have themselves to blame for being in this position. Could they have been on the other side of the bracket with better seeding? Maybe. But by the same token, pretty much 2 of those 3 teams have lost to the 8th seed, a team that they should have beaten. So when you look at it from that context, it makes sense that you've got a harder run in the lower bracket because, well, it turns out the 8th seed are really good.
Yeah, maybe the winners bracket is the harder one now.
Yeah. I want to see that game between Picadilly and TLR. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Stay tuned to EPIC47 on Twitch to take a look at that. The other big name that I want to talk about in the upper bracket, at least, before we talk about the lowers, is a wonderful team name that I can't believe I'm saying on the main stage of a LAN, but here we are. It's Scholars of the Shaft.
Wow.
And they are 25th seed, and yet they made it to top 8 uppers.
Oh, wow.
They were able to get into that upper bracket quarterfinal right from groups, which was incredible. I believe they went 6-1, which is a huge result for the 25th seed.
And in best of ones as well. That's really impressive. That's not just a singular upset performance. That's consistent.
Multiple. Yeah, absolutely. And they are actually kind of blessed in the bracket because they now drop down into the lower bracket to play BUHM, which, you know, pronounced out.
Yeah.
You get it. Is and they're C20. So BUM have moved from those lower brackets forwards, of course, as C20. So they deserve to be there absolutely.
Yeah.
But a 25 seed versus 20 seed in the top 12, that's pretty cool.
It's pretty ludicrous.
Yeah.
I think both of the words we used apply pretty well to that,
Sure.
even though it's a very different perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been weird if we'd both said the same thing, you imagine. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at as far as the CS goes. The only other thing I do want to mention is British Aussie Gang, seeded 9th, are actually in the uppers semi-finals, I believe, seed 9, after they beat Nigel Mirage, who are our 7th seed, in the opening round in those quarterfinals. So British Aussie Gang going well, but as I say, the big story here is EPIC47. They're the ones to keep watching for. I really hope we see them here on the main stage tomorrow. And if you do want to check that out, that's 1:30 p.m. tomorrow here on the main stage for the CS final, because you won't want to miss that. The way these brackets are shaping out, it could be literally anybody up on stage with us.
Yeah, that CS bracket seems all over the place, and I think that's the best thing possible you can have at LAN. And I also forgot to mention for the Valorant Grand Final, that will be on Sunday at 10 a.m. here on the main stage also. So, I mean, if you're interested in either of those two finals, you want to make sure that you are here to witness those.
You certainly do. And it's a fun thing to think about, going all the way through from the Valorant finals to the CS2 finals, 2 first-person shooters, battling it out essentially on the main stage, and both grand finals should be really fun. And it's weird to say that Sunday is tomorrow, Nebula.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
LAN goes by really quick.
Yeah.
And thinking of those finals as well, with the players that will be on either side of us right now on stage, I imagine all of them are going to be very loud when they're in those series. I mean, the top 2 seeds of Valorant, TSC, and Control, who are battling it out right now.
Yeah.
I believe there's some friends across both sides of that stage as well. So,
friends?
And they're friends of some sense.
Okay, yeah.
They're also playing on the same row. So they are definitely able to hear each other when they're yelling after each round, and they're making some noise. So we have a lot to look forward to.
Oh, we do. We do. But before we get to those esports finals, we need everybody to be aware of what we've got coming up after this. And I'm very, very excited about what we've got on stage after this esports update. You will want to make sure that you're over at the main stage in about half an hour, because we have got a new game that we're bringing to the stage. It's one you may have seen online, but we've given it its best name, I think, that it's ever had across the internet.
Yeah, it doesn't really have a solidified name.
Doesn't really have a solidified name. We're here to solidify it. You will want to watch Split Fiction. Not that one, but there's a game happening here on stage called Split Fiction in just over half an hour. You will not want to miss it. We will see you there. Thanks for tuning in to the Esports Update.